I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me. So, really, what we want to talk about is how awesome your experience is. I looked and I was like, is that Hollin on the cover photo on Netflix? When you saw the cover photo for the first time, what was that experience like for you?
That was truly one of the most memorable moments from this whole experience. I sat down with my friends in Los Angeles, a lot of the castmates to watch the show together. We pulled it up, and I'm the cover, me doing this in a moment of a lot of emotion, a lot of chaos going on. And yet, out of 456 contestants, hours and hours of footage, I was the cover on Netflix. So that was truly a dream come true.
That's so awesome, man. I guess my question is, what was your process starting this off like? I know when you probably first started, it was like, oh. Maybe I'm gonna get it. Maybe I'm not gonna get it in. What was the application, the start? How did all that go for you?
Absolutely. I watched the show initially with my family and we were so interested in it. It was very cool. Out of all the reality shows I've seen, this one seemed so immersive. You eat the food they give you, you do the things that they tell you to do. I later found out it's a 10-second hot shower, so you take your showers fast. And I thought that was just a really unique experience. So I applied right away after I saw season one. Didn't hear back for a few months. And then got a phone call one day. They said, "We see your application. We'd like to have an interview with you and go through the processing for you to see if you could go on the show." I recently found out there were over 200,000 applicants for our
Wow.
season. So it was truly a dream that I was selected.
That has to be so cool. Like ending up on a show that you watched with your family initially, and then now them watching the second season of it ever, and now you're on it. How has that been for them?
Everyone in my life has been so incredibly supportive. I get pictures every single day of the moments that my friends and family are seeing me on TV. And even still, seeing myself on TV feels surreal. I remember living these moments. I knew they were recorded, but seeing myself on a platform that has over 300 million subscribers is actually still so surreal to me.
That's so awesome. I want to talk about your family a little bit. So I know you are now currently in Atlanta. Are they still in West Monroe?
Yes, my parents still live in West Monroe. Ideally, they would go wherever I go one day. I'm in Atlanta right now, but who knows where I'll end up at some point.
That's so awesome. I know, West Monroe isn't the world's biggest city, and now you're living in a big one. But how awesome has it been? I'm sure you've got a lot of reach out from the community out here. How awesome has it been to hear from those people?
I can't imagine doing it any other way. Growing up in a small town gave me the perspective on life that I have, the values that I have, the morals that I stand true to. And going on a show with 456 people, 300 million viewers, I still never wavered on where I stood with what I would do if I was faced with a tough decision. And I think that's all rooted in growing up in a community like West Monroe, Louisiana. I graduated from West Monroe High School in 2017. My parents still live there, so I'm still there quite often, and I couldn't be more thankful to grow up in a small town.
That's awesome. Now I want to talk about the experience during the game. I know it had to be high stress. You don't exactly know what to expect going in there. Uh, we'll go all the way up until episode five, right? We'll talk about what was the emotions like riding that roller coaster and staying alive for as long as you could.
Absolutely. Once I got cast, I felt like I had already won. So I was never going to be disappointed at any point if I had gotten eliminated because I felt like I had achieved a goal that a lot of people also wanted. So I made it through the first game. I was so excited. I actually looked at my friend and said, "I feel like I'm on borrowed time in this game because I've already made it further than I could have ever hoped." Made it through the first game. We go into the second game. We have to choose our teams. I make it through the second game. We go into the third game, which is an independent game. And that was what I was the most nervous for because at this point, you're realizing it's all on me. My destiny is actually in my own hands. It's no longer a team game. I make it through the third game. I've lived in the dorm for, I think, 5 days at this point. So it's kind of feeling like home. And then we go into the fourth game, which is an incredibly social game. Really, having friends would have been the only thing that could have saved you in that game, in a game like Mingle. I make it through Mingle, and then I go on to Marbles where I have to face my best friend in the game. And I don't want to tell everyone what happened. I want them to see what happened in that, but it was overall the greatest experience I could have asked for because for me, I had already won just getting cast on the show.
That that's an amazing mindset to really carry into that. So that's really cool. Uh, you just mentioned like you had to play against your best friend on the show. What are those relationships that you've built like now? Like meeting these people for the first time in the building, and now you're past it. And what have those relationships been like for you?
Definitely, one of the greatest parts of this whole experience is the community that I've built. And it's unlike any other relationship because we went through something that no one else went through. So we understand it to a level that even friends and family can't. So I've stayed super close with a lot of the people that I met on the cast, traveling to see them throughout the last 9 months it's been. And just growing those relationships has been such a true gift, really. And I did have to play against my best friend Max in the game, and that was difficult. I think we had already always expected they would pull a twist on us, and so we thought, don't ever get with your best friend if they ask you to go just two people together for something. But at the end of that game of Mingle, they said groups of two. It was the last thing on our minds. We got in a group of two, open a box, and it's marbles.
Man, I really can't wait to see that part for myself. I'm not going to spoil it for everybody else either. But I guess now I just want to focus on some small moments, right? Like if you had to pinpoint, I know we've kind of talked about the marbles a lot, but any other moments that really stood out to you during your experience? What was like one moment that kind of encapsulates everything that you were feeling that entire time?
The moment that I continue to remember and continue to share with everybody that I talk about the show with is I think it was day 2 or 3 in the game, and I'm looking around at everyone in the room thinking, if I had to eliminate someone right now, who would I pick? And of course, your first thought is someone I don't know. So I had a couple people in mind of who I might go for. So I at that point go and talk to them. And every single person I talked to that was originally on my mind to eliminate, I leave going, well, that's the greatest person I've ever met in my whole life. Because every single person there has a story and has a reason for being there. And even if they're not acting like it, they are a good person at their core. And getting to see that, wow, our empathy really does extend once we meet someone and once we know them. And it would become that much harder to then eliminate a character, even if I didn't know them, because I have to believe they have a story just like I do.
That's awesome. I want to talk more about Holland now, right? We've talked a lot about the show, but just in some of the small things I've seen, you are just a jack of all trades, right? I saw some of my stand-up comedy. You've
Thanks.
now been on a Netflix show, and you're also a PhD candidate. Um, and I think the beauty of the small cities, kind of like we talked about earlier, is everybody can rally behind the people who are having success and really support them. So, what can the community members of West Monroe expect to see from Holland in the future?
I would have to say, expect the unexpected. I believe I've always known in my life I'm the most uncomfortable when I'm comfortable. I like pushing myself. I like trying new things. I like the adventure of life. And so, whether it is applying to do stand-up comedy in Atlanta or continuing my PhD, I think exploring things and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is the most unique way to get to know yourself and how you interact with your environment and the people in it. And the support I've received from the people in West Monroe has been overwhelming. I can't tell you the number of times I've actually cried seeing the comments and the posts and the shares and people that I know or don't know very well or know really well all rallying behind me has been the most unbelievable experience. And I'm so incredibly fortunate to come from a small town.
That's awesome. And last question is in that vein, really, is there a moment in the show where you're like, yeah, I'm really glad I came from West Monroe, or how did growing up here kind of prepare you for the random challenges that you may have faced during the Squid Game?
I truly think that growing up in a small town and West Monroe specifically prepared me to be able to connect with anyone. Because even though West Monroe is a small town, every person you meet has their own story and has their own dreams and aspirations and getting to know people in a small town, you can truly get to know them to a degree that I don't think is necessarily this possible in large cities. And that helped me so much on the show. I was able to connect with every person I met on a personal level because I am so used to having deep personal connections coming from West Monroe, Louisiana.
That's